Good evening. So, it's been a few weeks now. I am so sorry that we didn't come on online last week or the week before. We were away actually last week. I was away both weeks in Greece on a yacht, and it was a fantastic time. We found the greatest freedive location ever, and we are hoping to set up a system where next year in April you'll come over with us, and there's 6 dives you have to do in order to enable you to do the greatest dive in the world. It's a cave dive, but not particularly cavey. It's like you have to go down, you have to abseil in, so it's quite technical. But then the first chamber is huge with massive stalactites and stalagmites in there. And then you go into the water, which is just earth-shattering. Earth-shattering? Maybe you shouldn't say earth-shattering when talking about caves, but mind-blowing. Crystal clear waters with just more decoration than I've seen in a cave ever. Just stunning. And a good depth underneath you, so you can get some nice dives and come up into these chambers, of which there's about 4 different chambers that we've explored. And we suspect we're the first people ever to be in at least 2 of those. At least 2 of those chambers. We're the first people ever to be in there. We're definitely the first free divers to be in any of them. So, quite technical, challenging dive. But you guys are the first to hear about this. There's an email going out later tonight to the members, but you guys listening, first to hear about it. So you can come over and dive with us in the greatest free dive location in the world. Quite a statement, but I'm going to stand by it. And when you see the video, you'll hopefully agree. So, as we go forwards, I've had a couple of questions. Now, somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago. They said, could I show the stretching video again? So, how can I train for depth while we're at home? Now, usually we, in the winter we don't get in open water as much because it's cold. But obviously with COVID, we've had quite a lot of dry training time as well. So it's even more important that we learn these concepts that we of dry training for depth, so that we can keep up a regular training before next year. Now, obviously, if you can get in deep or deeper water, it's going to be really good for your training. So we have penciled in the last lake day of the year as being October the 18th, Sunday in Raysbury. But there will be the odd people jumping in the lake just before that and after that. So a couple of weeks' time, last lake day of the year, 18th of October. Now, you don't need depth. You don't need a lot of depth to practice depth when you're in the water. As you will know, the first 10 meters is the biggest change in pressure. So we can use that to our advantage when we're in open water. So we can, there's certain empty lung techniques. Don't do them without knowing what you're doing though. They can be quite dangerous, but they are potentially some really good simple exercises you can do in 10 meters of water. You can even extend them and do them in the pool, and we do them in the pool trainings. So exercises like naming number, which has got 5 sections to it. So if you've been along to any of the pool sessions and you've done name and number, you'll probably have done the first, second, possibly the first 3 parts of the 5 parts. Now, these are really good for depth training, and if you've watched this before or come along to the club, you'll know that the way to go deep is chest flexibility. You will see pictures of freedivers pulling up their diaphragm, sitting in a lotus position, pulling the diaphragm up. It has very little effect on how deep you can go. The main thing you want to do is chest flexibility. So with that in mind, say we have name and number, which is used in the swimming pool. We have some depth exercises you can do in 10 meters of water, and what we're going to talk about tonight are the stretching exercises that you can do at home. But more importantly than that, as important as that, is using your ETT, which I'll be going over next week, and the bombilla, which again I'll go over in the next couple of weeks, which are training the actual muscles and the techniques for going deep. So you've got chest flexibility, which you need for monofinning and for depth. And then you've got the techniques, which is the bombilla and the ETT. Right? So without further ado, I'm gonna put on the stretching video. So set your reminder, your record button or whatever. Set it now. Okay. First stretch we're going to do is a doorway stretch. Super easy, and we can do it multiple times during the day. So all I'm going to do is place my hands above the door and try and touch my shoulder blades together. So from the front, I place my hands and I make sure my shoulders are pulling down away from my ears, and then my shoulders stay above my hips as I step through the door. Okay. And I try and allow the chest to move forwards, keeping my arms reasonably straight, and we should be able to find a position that we can hold and we feel the stretch here and on the shoulders. And it's not a dynamic stretch, it's a static stretch, therefore we have to hold it for more than 25 seconds. So if you hold it for 30 seconds, that's a good amount of time to hold it. Once you've held it for 30 seconds, relax, shake out. I like to change legs, but it doesn't really matter as long as the hips stay underneath the shoulders, and allow that chest to come through. Remember, we're trying to touch the shoulder blades together. There's no tension in the neck, the head can move. And after 30 seconds, second time, we can shake out. An extension to the doorway stretch is if you've got something in your house that's about waist height, we can do the same stretch. So we place our hands on top and try and get a 90-degree angle between the legs and the body, and assume basic position. You're not dropping your head down, you keep your head in a neutral position, and we try and push the chest towards the floor. So you may feel it in hamstrings, which is fine. You can bend your knees slightly because we're trying to get an arching of the back. Okay. This is maybe a little bit low for me, so I need to bend my legs as well, but it's fine. For the chest, that's fine. And then in opposition to this, we try and close the armpits and bring the tailbone in to round the back. So we go from this position, down, up, down, pushing the sitting bones out. In this position we're separating the shoulder blades. In this position we're touching the shoulder blades together. We can do it as a dynamic stretch, so we can keep moving, or when we get into a nice stretch we can hold it for more than 25 seconds in the same way that we did the doorway stretch. So I would suggest you do something like 10 movements and then hold it for the end. Now the upper part of the spine is typically very stiff, especially in guys, so we need to open up those joints. So I have a foam roller and all I'm going to do is place it just under my shoulder blades, and I can feel my back, my spine opening up. Okay, we can make it more intense by putting the hands above our head, okay, or even lifting the hips slightly. Head in a neutral position and hold, and then move down and hold, and then move down and hold, move down, hold, move down, hold. If this is too intense, you can keep your hands here, let the head go back, relax. Okay, so we're not tight up here, hands are here and relaxed, and move down, and move down, and move down, and move down. In each position you want to hold for maybe 10 seconds, so slightly longer than I'm demonstrating here. So if you want, you can put into basic position. Try and keep your head in a neutral position so the spine's straight, and we hold for 10 seconds. Breathing into the diaphragm. Again, you can put the hips on the floor if it's a little bit too much, too intense, or you can lift to increase intensity. Then the next position, hold for 10 seconds. Then the next position, and the next position. 10 seconds in each position. Another important stretch that we've been through before are bedtime stretches, but now we've got a setup where I can show you and demonstrate what it should look like. So for the bedtime stretches, I'm going to breathe out, lean forwards, hold my nose if it's the first time I've done this or I've not done it too many times before. Then I'm going to sit up, put my shoulders back, and then I'm going to push my belly out for the stretch. And I should feel the stretch here. I'll do the stretch twice before leaning forwards and relaxing. So, here we go. That's once through. So we're going to do the bedtime stretches twice as this, and then we're going to move on to a trachea stretch. Remember, this is a cartilagic stretch, so it's not like the stretches of tendons or muscles. This takes a long time for the cartilage to soften up and move. So we've really got to take our time, do it every day, and be aware of our body and what's happening. Shouldn't be pain, should feel some sort of tension on the chest where it's going inwards, but shouldn't be any pain. We should also try and avoid stretching so much we cough afterwards. So, and that's the bedtime stretches. So we'll do that twice, and then we'll do a trachea stretch. Now the trachea has also got cartilage around it, and we can soften that up as well. So it's the same movements to start with, except we don't push the belly out quite as hard, but then when we get to the top, we put the head back. So there's a fifth part to it. Okay, so. And that's the bedtime stretches. So there's the stretching exercises, the three main chest, so upper body stretches that you need to do. So particularly the bedtime stretches are designed for depth training at home, which is the point of tonight's live stream. But the doorway stretch you can do, as it says in the video, all day, every day. And the more specific monofin stretching gives you some nice awareness of the movement. But the bedtime stretches you want to be doing pretty much every day, and this will allow that chest to flex, so when you do get in deep water again, you don't have to think about it. You just won't notice that you're just gliding through the depth that used to stop you, and because of that extra flexibility. Now, when I was talking about the monofin stretch, the leaning forward stretch, I mentioned the body awareness. So you can film yourself, like so if you're doing that exercise there, you saw my back was quite flat and you saw it arched and quite flat. If you film yourself, you can then compare it to that and see if you can get it as flat and as arched, and you can start becoming aware of your movements. Now, when leads into a question from Donde sent an exercise, a question, saying sometimes it's difficult to be aware of things you're not doing correctly, e.g. bent legs. How can you get better at body awareness? So primarily, if you've got access to a good coach, then they're going to be giving you that feedback. But more than that, the coach will give you ideas and exercises to get you to do things correctly. So, for instance, if you bend in your knees, anybody in a no tanks session will know you wear training fins, which stops you bending your knees because of the floppy fins you're using. So the coach will give you the training fins to stop you bending your knees. So it kind of circumnavigates that requirement of videoing yourself, looking at yourself, finding out, comparing it with somebody else, and then going away and finding a way to rectify it. The coach will circumnavigate that and give you a shortcut and say, look, you're bending your knees a little bit more, have a pair of training fins, or buy a pair of training fins, and that will stop that straight away. So the next thing you could do, you can video yourself, as I say, in those videos, and compare it yourself. It's a good way of doing it. The problem comes in how you then go move on from the video to find out how to correct your body awareness. Now, if you haven't got access to a coach, then find yourself a coach. There's a few coaches online. I am doing some online coaching. Yes, Alethea, if you're online. Yes, I haven't forgotten to go through your monofin video that you sent me. I will send you back to you the notes on that. But what I would suggest, especially during these lockdown times, and then moving into winter with still some sort of lockdown restrictions on us, is take up a full body training exercise or sport. For example, yoga, jiu-jitsu, caving. These things that I advocate to all our members because they are all over body exercises which require body awareness. So if you're doing any of those exercises, there's an objective, especially with jiu-jitsu and caving, there's a clear objective that if your body's not moving in the right way, the things won't work. For instance, you're trying to climb out of a cave. If your body's not moving in the right way, your weight won't be distributed the right way, and you just won't climb out. So you automatically change your movements just by repetition, and you can become aware of your movements a lot more through them. And you've got an objective to work towards. Yoga is slightly different in that the objective in yoga is yoga itself. Bouldering, yeah, Alethea said bouldering, yep, absolutely. So it's using the entire body, distributing your weight in different ways. It's the same. As I was saying, with yoga, the objective of yoga is yoga, so it's slightly more in depth to try and get that feedback. Obviously, if you've got a yoga teacher, that's their job. They're going to be saying, no, you can place your foot here, place your arms there, move this, concentrate on that. With your, if you're just doing online training, it gets a little bit tougher to find those points for you specifically. And this is the important thing, that everybody's different. Everybody moves differently. Everybody has got, especially we're talking about freediving, so everybody's over the age of 12 or 14. And most of their members are over the age of 20. So they've had 12, 14 or 20 years of moving in the world as a learnt traits. And we're trying to change some of those traits, trying to change some of those movements. And it's not going to be easy. So this is why we suggest a coach who's going to look at you specifically and see how you're moving and give you ideas to move in a more efficient way. Remember, that entire point of all this training is to move efficiently. Okay? More efficiently you can move in freediving, the longer you're going to be able to stay down there. Okay? So that was Donde's question. How do you know? Well, you can video yourself. The problem is what you do with that video. Once you've got the video of yourself, you can look at yourself. You have to be able to compare it with somebody else doing a similar exercise, somebody similar in movement, else it won't look anything like it and you won't have anything to play with or any ideas to work with. So find a coach, or find a coach online and get them to go through it. Is a really good idea. So Donde also asks a separate question. He said, what are the benefits of having somebody video your dives, and how do you analyze what you're doing right and wrong? So he's actually answered his first question by asking the second question, which is fine. So the benefits of having somebody video your dives is it's something you can post on YouTube and send to your friends on Instagram. No. Somebody videoing your dives gives you a black and white image of yourself, and I don't mean black and white as in the color missing, but black and white as in if I say to you somebody, oh, you're bending your knees too much, then they dive and again they come back, no, I'm not bending my knees. With video, it's black and white. It's there. It's on cellulose. It's not anymore. It's on memory card. That this is how that dive is. So it's that irreprovable evidence of what you did on that dive. But the same thing goes with all of these things I'm talking about. If you don't have honesty, and if you don't accept what is being told or what you're seeing, then you're never going to progress. Okay, so you've got to acknowledge what you're doing and accept it. So somebody telling you you're bending your knees, no point in going, oh yeah, but that was because I was doing this dive. That was because I was doing that dive. That was because. You've got to listen to what they're saying, or if you're analysing your own videos, you've got to be really honest with yourself. So it's honesty comes first, then acknowledgement, and from that adaptation can happen. So it's the same with any of these videos. It's very easy to kind of gloss over and ignore the issues that you have or the bad habits you have. So I would suggest, if you can get somebody to video, in fact, on that point, I was talking to somebody at the weekend actually about this very point. I will endeavour to video in the next week all the sessions that I go to. We are not sharing the pool with anybody, so we can video underwater. So I will do some diagnostic videos in the coming weeks at all the pool sessions that I go to, and endeavour to get them out to people and match them up with other videos that we've done in the past. So looking at the time, we finished a little bit early. We haven't. No, we've still got some more time. So Darren said, a great recap on stretches, did a lot during lockdown and really felt the benefit at Freefest and in Vobster. So it's a really, the stretches so simple, take up no time. There's no reason why not to do them. As I say, next week I'll go through the ETT and Bombilla, which are the techniques. So bedtime stretches are the flexibility, and the training exercises are for the technique. And you put these two together and hopefully you'll be able to feel the difference when you go diving. Okay, so I'm going to finish it there, and hopefully I'll see you next Monday. We've got Colchester's on tonight. We've got Hove, Brighton and Hove tomorrow night, and Kingston on Thursday, and Putney should be on Friday. And this time we've changed things around, so Putney sessions are open to anyone. Fridays are the new Wednesdays. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and any questions for next week? I'm going to try and split them up from the next few Monday sessions. Going to have a little bit of information and a bit of time for Q&A, but trying to recap over the things that we should be doing as we go into the September-October training rotation. Okay, so thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao.